Welcome to the Center for the Women of New York Networking for Career Success webinar. This is a workshop. It's part of the career series that happens every first Thursday of each month. The Center for the Women of New York has two locations. One is in Queensboro Hall. The other one is in Fort Totten. We do have other programs going on virtually now. We're hoping to open our doors of the Fort Totten location. We have our first event coming up. What I want to share with all of you. It is a 101. We wanted to start slowly after all the 2 years we've been during the pandemic. We're offering a one-on-one tax preparation. So I just wanted to share that with everyone. As you know, we have this series and virtually, and we also have a financial literacy workshop series. And that is on the third Wednesday of every month, and it's at 8 p.m. So please join us. Today, change the slides. We have, as I mentioned, Networking for Career Success. We do have Regina Bonolo. She's the owner and founder of Aspire Hire. Welcome, Regina. We're very happy to have you today with us. These are some of the programs that we offer. We also have services that are ongoing. We have a legal support team that answers to inquiries via email. We have two support groups. One is for women in crisis. The other one is for caregivers, those of us that take care of our aging family members or loved ones. We do have an ESL class for beginners. Talking about that, I also wanted to welcome Victoria Pilari, our former president and a volunteer coordinator. She's a research coordinator. We also have Lana with us, our amazing volunteer and webmaster. Victoria is here today because I am in Argentina and my internet connection is very spotty. And she was very kind to be here with us just in case I disappear. So I wanted to let everyone know that if I disappear, it's because of my poor connection in South America. Again, thank you so much for being with us. If you would like to watch any of our past events, you can find them on our website at CWNY.org/past events. If you have any questions, Regina told us that she's happy to answer them as they come. So please feel free to put them in the chat and we'll make sure that your questions are answered. If you dialed in, Lana's here also to monitor our email at events@CWNY.org. She'll be monitoring your questions and pass them on to Regina so she can respond. Regina Bonolo, for over 20 years, Thrive advisor of her company, Aspire Hire, has been assisting hundreds of executives to start up entrepreneurs excel in their careers. Her dynamic workshops and professional development programs provide content-rich strategies. Regina specializes in referral networking, lead generation, distinctive marketing, and confident communication. Her clients include Pace University, L'Oreal USA, Content Publications, Ladders, Inc., and Disney Vacation Club. Regina, thank you so much for being with us today. Welcome you. Now I will stop sharing so you can share your presentation. Welcome.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here. I appreciate, the opportunity to share my nuggets of wisdom for the over 20 years, doing a lot of career counseling and business development training. So thank you so much for having me. And we're going to, we've talked about some of the companies I've worked for. I have a lot of experience in the corporate world as well as the entrepreneurial world, and as well as the educational world. I've worked with high school students and college students and graduate students. So they also have their challenges as well. All the education they have, they still need to find that full-time position. So 2 tidbits about me that I always love to share to get to know me other than my professional background is I love to dance in nature and of course on the disco floors, as well as rappelling down a waterfall in Maui. It's an adventure I did a few years ago. So besides helping people and making an impact on this world, I love adventure. What we'd like to know about you so we can customize the program is to understand where you are in your career. So if you could please all type your response in the chat box, how many years you have worked. And of course, we gave you a lot of different ranges, 0 to 2, 3 to 5, 6 to 10, 11 to 15, 16 to 20, and over 2 decades, 20 years. So if you can put those chat responses in, Victoria and Cecilia will help me gather that information. Then we could, again, customize this program, because if you're just graduating college or you've been a full-time caregiver and now entering the workforce, it's very different than having, of course, decades of experience. I'll give you about 30 seconds to type that in. Okay, I do see some of the chats coming in. Great, over 20, 10, over 20. Okay, I do see it. I will keep this open so I can take a look at it. Give you a few more seconds. Okay, so right now we have some experienced people. So some of the things I'll be talking about today, you might have heard before, and maybe there are things that you're going to learn, completely different and new strategies to find the work you love. So thank you for sharing. Okay. So the next thing we're going to talk about, it's a poll question. Now, we want to know where you are professionally. Now, you can actually, now, Victoria, there is a poll that, is that sent through the chat? Okay, here's the poll. Okay, terrific. So if you can check as many boxes as possible. You don't have to check just one. Now, some of these were added later, so you can always type in the chat some of the new ones. We have been making sure to cover so many different areas. As you said, as you see, we added a few additional types of employment. So if you want to put it in the chat box, if there's something different that you see on the poll, please do. We apologize for the little oversight there. Okay, so 40% unemployed, 40% employed and seeking a new job, 20% new career transition, in school or getting trained, 20%, and pondering an entrepreneurial side hustle, 20%. Okay, great. Thank you so much for sharing, everybody. So we do have, okay, some caregiving entering the workforce after a JD degree. So thank you for the legal work. 15 years. Okay, terrific. Thank you so much for sharing your experience, because it does help us. Now, the next poll, why don't you just type in 1, 2, or 3 in the chat box? Are you considering professionally completing a new career, starting your own full-time business, or like some people had shared already about more education or relevant training? So if you could put that in the chat box, that would be great. One and 3, okay, great. 2, 2 and 3. Okay, so everyone, yes, I believe in the casserole career, multiple streams of income and diverse. Because if one area of your business is a little dry or slow that month, you have other revenue streams. So thank you for sharing. Fantastic. Thank you to everybody. So what I want to talk to you about today, which is really important in this wonderful virtual world we're living in, is of course the power of networking, connections, and referral generation. And today's agenda, we are going to be talking about the power of referral networking, the hidden job market, your online presence, which is paramount, resourceful connections, and I will be sharing a job opportunities worksheet, which I think is an extremely valuable tool to keep track of all of your job opportunities and referrals and thank you notes and follow-up. Because if you don't put a date in your calendar, that follow-up tip might fall right through the cracks and then the opportunity is lost. So let's talk about finding job referrals in your network. There are many wonderful opportunities that are right in front of you. I like to call it low-hanging fruit. I also like to call it backyard diamonds. And we have lots of these diamonds in our backyard, okay? And we just have to dig a little. So what I like to do is I like to go through my resume or my bio and look at the past employers that may need me again. Because you have a relationship. If you didn't burn your bridges, they might need you right now. I mean, it's been 2 years of big transitions and paradigm shifts to telecommuting. So who's to say you can't reach out to a past employer or a previous colleague at that company and say, oh, what's happening? Are you growing? Are you consolidating? Are you doing any mergers and acquisitions? Maybe there's a referral with another company that you didn't know about because they just acquired a company. Your past employer might be growing. One of my favorite lists to go into is the cell phone contact list. And I have like over 1,000 contacts in my cell phone list that has been transferred for the past 15 years from one cell phone to another. So this phone is a diamond mine because a lot of the people in there know you, like you, and trust you. And usually someone will refer you if they trust you and like you. But if you're a stranger and they don't know you, they might not necessarily refer you. And that's the power of networking. People, their reputation is on the line if they refer you and it doesn't work out and you leave after 30 days at a corporation or an organization. So that's really important. And you want to be gentle with your outreach. Maybe you'll just text somebody and say, I'm in a job search right now. I'd love to, brainstorm with you about some of the ideas I have. And later on, we'll talk about specificity. Another area is alumni and workshop leaders. We forget about our college, maybe our postgraduate. Maybe there are workshops and seminars and certifications that you've taken. And the leaders are usually centers of influence, and they know a lot of people. The alumni, they might be corporate executives, C-suite executives. So it's great if you can keep in touch. They usually have alumni clubs, and their database is online with some of your college or postgraduate alumni students. And some of them are very successful and would be very happy. Just because you went to their college or their workshop, there's a rapport automatically. We also never want to forget our house of worship connections. There's instant rapport if you're going to church, synagogue, or a temple, or any type of religious institution. Maybe there's a spiritual community. Maybe there's a drum circle. I love drum circles, and people love to connect and they love to help each other. That's really what it's about. It's almost like your tribe. And of course, with the CWNY, the Center for the Women of New York, you have your fellow association members. And these are people that know you and trust you probably even faster. Maybe you're volunteering, maybe you're on a committee, maybe you're running programs. And so all these associations and clubs that you're part of, these are fantastic referral opportunities for people to help you find an ideal job, or maybe a side hustle, or a part-time job, or an opportunity to start a new business. And if there are any questions, you're very welcome to put them in the chat. So another really important step and action that I would recommend is to revisit that resume, because you're going to get faster referrals if you know what you want. Clarity is the most vital leadership tool. And what you want to do is reflect on one satisfying job in your history. You want to go back and visualize, where did you feel appreciated and valued? What job title did you wear proudly? And which work environment did you thrive in? And sometimes we forgot about a job that was maybe even 5 years ago, and you really felt, like part of the team, and you contributed all of these wonderful gifts and skills and talents. And, maybe you were employee of the month, you really felt valued and validated. That's really important. So when you talk about getting a referral to all of the people in your network, you want to come up with the right criteria. And that is to be specific when you're requesting referrals. So, and you really want to be as specific as possible, because that mental Rolodex, starts thinking, who do I know that I can refer to my colleague? So you really want to be clear about full-time, part-time, or is it a contract gig, right? Or maybe it's a side opportunity, like I talked about, the part-time for a business. Do you want to be on site full-time? Some people thrive in a very high velocity, fast-paced environment, and they don't want to work from home because they have dogs and they have young kids, and the hybrid telecommute is not ideal. But other people want to be full-time telecommuting. So it could be a hybrid or a full-time telecommute. And then you want to be clear about the target industry or the vertical market. Because if you want to work in the fashion business, there's also the beauty business. Maybe you want to be specific about a target industry or vertical market. Your preferred title or position. That's also very important, because you might say, well, I want to get into administration, or I want to get into HR. That's great, but what about the specific title that where you felt you used all your skills and talents? The specific departments, of course, that's real. Maybe there's a variety of departments that you want to experiment with. That the departments that you used to work in, aren't lighting you up anymore. You want to try a new department, but in that industry, because you have that industry experience. Maybe you want to try a different department. And what's also really important are the interviewer titles at companies. A sales manager might be interviewing you if you're in sales, but then you have the HR director. But maybe there's a CIO. Oh, someone has a question. Oh, a vertical market. Thank you for the question. A vertical market is similar to a target industry. But some people, for instance, like a silo, if you think of a corn silo with all the food in it, a vertical market is like advertising, fashion, beauty, could be automotive. So that's a vertical market. Thank you for asking. Okay. A really important task that many people don't exercise is to tap into the hidden job market. Have you ever created a wish list of companies or organizations that you want to work for, that you believe in their mission? Maybe you're buying their products or services. Maybe you really believe in their vision. Maybe they're environmentally, focused. Because I am an eco warrior. I love to upcycle and recycle and repurpose and buy from thrift shops. And maybe you want to go to a B company. A B company are sustainable companies. So does anyone want to share of one company, you could put it in the chat, one company that's on your wish list, that if you had a dream, a fantasy, that you would love to work for this company or organization or a nonprofit, or it could be government. It doesn't have to be a for-profit entity. So it could be an NGO, a non-government organization. Because I'm part of a sustainable fashion community environment, I'm learning about some of these nonprofits and sustainable companies. So if anyone wants to share in the chat box, you don't have to. Is there one company that's on your wish list? I would create a list of 20 companies or organizations. And what you're going to do is, well, the next thing is they're not advertising job openings. So that's what makes it a hidden job market. And they're also asking referrals from their employees. This could be a billion-dollar corporation, or it could be a very, popular organization where they get hundreds of resumes. So they don't always go, to recruiting companies, and they're asking their prized employees, their most valuable employees, do you have any referrals of people that are really of high caliber, not only educated, but can really make an impact on our organization. So in order to tap into the hidden job market, there are things you can do. Oh, here's a question. I guess the question just repeated, I'm sorry. Potential action steps in the hidden job market is if you make a list of 20 companies or organizations, you can cross-reference LinkedIn for a possible referral. So obviously first and second degree are first degree is the closest, but second degree, you can ask for a referral. So you want to cross-reference and see if there's a possible opportunity to be referred from your wish list. Because if they're not advertising for that position, you might want to snail mail your resume in a colored envelope. It stands out, it's not in a legal white envelope, and it is old school. But I have to tell you, it stands out, it's distinctive, and it can be very effective. But you have to follow up to make sure they received it. You might want to email your resume to the HR department. And excuse me, I just have to make sure that I can see this. So, does anyone have any questions? So, as far as a wish list company, one of my wish list companies, if I think back, I wanted to work for ABC TV. And I wanted to get in, I wanted to be an actor, I wanted to be in front of the camera, and I wanted to, that was a very large, television network. So that was one organization I wanted to apply for. But again, as I said, you must schedule follow-up dates for any kind of, emails that you resumes that you email, or if you send something in the mail to follow up. Now, what's really also important is your online presence. Now, I don't know if anyone has ever done this. I do it now and then because I am a professional speaker and trainer. But if you Googled your name, what would appear? It's really important to do it because your reputation is on the line. A recruiter or the person you're interviewing with, they're not just going to go to LinkedIn and they're not just going to read your resume. They may do a Google search. And it's really important to make sure if there's a way to manage your reputation, there are organizations that can help you. We do have another question. How to submit my comments via chat. Victoria, if you could possibly respond to that, that would be really helpful while I continue the presentation. Do you have a strong LinkedIn profile with open to work tag on your photo? We are going to be doing a career series on LinkedIn. I believe it's in April. So you'll please share, Victoria or Cecilia, about that wonderful program that's coming up. And there's so many details about LinkedIn, but there is an open to work tag that you can put on your photo that you're looking and you're actively pursuing opportunities. Any questions thus far? Now, another unique thing you can do, have you ever considered creating a video profile of yourself with reference testimonials? Now, this is something that's a multimedia opportunity. Now that video has proliferated and a lot of people feel more comfortable putting the camera on themselves, it shows your personality. It doesn't have to be a very long video, but it is something you could probably get some help with. Maybe your colleagues or some friends can help you to make sure the camera and the lighting. Right now we're doing like a production because Zoom is so popular, people are getting very good at creating a beautiful environment, a professional environment where you can create a video profile of yourself, talk about some of your success stories, and maybe edit a few reference testimonials from some of your past employers, even colleagues. And it's a very powerful way to stand out amidst the crowded marketplace. When you have so many resumes to look at, they all start looking alike. And with character recognition software today, where they can scan your resume, the computer scans your resume for cherry picking certain phrases or words on your resume, human eyes may never see your resume. So a video profile stands out, amidst the crowded marketplace. Another important thing to do to make sure your online presence is clean and pristine social media accounts. Have you, visited some of them lately to make sure all of the postings, are professional and appropriate, of course. I'm sure all of you on this webinar today have clean and pristine social media accounts. But you never know, that night of drinking could have gotten you in trouble and someone else tagged you on that night. So you want to make sure that when you're tagged in things, that you either remove them, and clean up the social media accounts. Any questions so far? Now, also what's really important is to keep track of all of these opportunities that are coming your way. And I created a template, potential job opportunities, where I've created categories, job listing categories. Number one, was it advertised on the company website, this job opportunity? Number two, was it online in a job search portal like Ladders or Indeed or some of Monster? There are so many of them. Was it a direct referral? Or was this organization on my wish list? So I've just put 1 through 4. There may be other job listing categories you want to put on there. And also, what are some of the resume sharing platforms that you have categorized as well? Did you do an online upload of your resume? Did you email the document or email the video profile we talked about? Was it a colorized snail mail resume, which we talked about? Did you actually send it in the hidden job market, part of your wish list? Did you actually hand your resume at a job fair or an event? And for those out there that are seeking business opportunities, side hustles, maybe there's an opportunity where you're giving your bio. It's not a resume, right? So if you want to open up a side business, usually you're doing a bio. And then you want to, of course, make sure you put the company name, the contact at the company, the title that you applied to. Make sure you put their email and their cell, the category. So number 3, Sky Jones was referral. Did you send a thank you? The platform at which you actually sent your resume, emailed your resume, the date sent, and the most imperative thing, your next action step. So that's really important because you have to make sure the fortune is in the follow-up, because you might be uploading your resume in all these platforms and you're not keeping in contact with these people. And then all of a sudden there's an opportunity and you missed out because they had somebody else, be tenacious. So it's really important to keep track of all of these potential opportunities. Does anyone have any questions? So if you want to ask me questions more in private, I put up my contact information, my website. Please link in with me. There are a lot of people on the call today or on the webinar today that might want a direct referral. Maybe we can have a chat. and we can talk about, your background, some of the skills, some of your experience. I'm very happy to help you with potential referrals. Someone has a question. Oh, they're thanking me. So, what's really important about LinkedIn is, you have to, be forthright about what you want. I could talk a lot about LinkedIn right now if you want to. If anyone else has a question. Does anyone have a specific question about the job search itself? What are you being challenged by? What do where is the fear? Because I really want you to ask questions that are relevant to you. Someone that's coming out of the workforce, someone that has been doing, been in a job for 20 years and they're maybe not sure they want to make that move. And I'm not going to name names, but, people that have been in the workforce for a long time, you have to leverage your contacts. You have to, be gentle about it, but an informational interview is so valuable. You have to vet them as well as they vet you. You want to know what kind of atmosphere and environment you're getting into. Maybe you can even shadow for a day, even if you're in your 50s. I talk about this when I do a lot of mentoring for college students that are not sure what they want to do. So I said, if you shadow someone for a day and you can see what the pace and the velocity and the environment and the energy and the vibe. Are you working with divas? Or are you working with people that really want to help you succeed? Are you working with a competitive environment? Are people, sizing you up because your shoes aren't beautiful? What kind of dress are they wearing? Are they, wearing relaxed jeans? Is it a corporate environment? What type of environment will you thrive in? It's really, really important.
Regina,
here's a question.
Sorry to interrupt.
Go ahead.
But what I'm hearing a lot is like, as the person who is looking for a job, it will save us a lot of time to have a very clear picture of what we're looking for. And I think it is extremely common to, due to our desperation for finding a job, waste our time looking in the wrong place. Do you have any advice on like where to start? If people are just looking for a job and seeing the opportunities out there, like what do you advise people who are in that position to say like, okay, take a step back and start, switching to that mode of not looking for whatever is available, but for everything that we would actually enjoy and be happy with. I know it's not always that easy, and our wish may not be, granted right away. But I'm hearing that knowing what we want will get us a lot closer to that, if we are in that mode.
Yes, thank you, Cecilia. Clarity is really powerful. I like to suggest taking an inventory of all of the skills, talents, and tasks that you're really good at naturally. You're not going to make a list of tasks you struggled with at the last job, and that's why you were laid off, right? You have to think about, will you thrive in a fast-paced environment? Are you good with metrics and alphanumerics? Are you good with, if you're in the bookkeeping and accounting world or administrative world, what tasks do you do really efficiently? And what tasks were you struggling with? Where, you get your review when they say, well, you need to improve this. You really need to know thyself. And you need to take a really good look in the mirror and say, where did I thrive? Where did I get the promotions fastest? And go down memory lane when you go into your resume or your work history or your bio and say, where do I really want to share my gifts with the world? We go around once in this body. Time is the most valuable asset. Minutes are precious. I talk about sacred time. Every day is precious. We don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, right? So you want to find work that is pleasurable, satisfying, and also where you're valued and you get paid for what you're worth. So you really have to talk to sometimes you have to talk to a career counselor. And there are a lot of free resources out there to get free career counseling. And you can always email me. I'm very open to giving you some free career counseling if you wanted to. Email me or call me or send me a message on LinkedIn, and I'll be happy to give you a 30-minute consultation. But it's really
Thank you,
important.
Regina.
It's
I
really,
like, if
Go
you
ahead.
don't mind me saying this, if you do email Regina for what she kindly just offered, don't forget to mention to her that you attended this webinar so she knows where you're coming from.
Absolutely, because what I will do is I will help you take the inventory and get clarity about designing a life you love, a career you love, an ideal job. Now, we did have a question. So thank you so much, Cecilia, for asking it. It was very important. What happens if you don't have any substantial work history, but you are an older person? Now, the word older person, maybe you're in your 60s or 70s and you're re-entering the workforce, and that's okay. I think what's really important too is volunteering, because then you can test the market to see if that's a job you'd like. I talked about a shadow day, so volunteering is a great way also to get hired into that work that you want to do. And as far as my phone contact, my phone number is on my website. So you can always go to my website and text me. Says someone, I just don't want to type. Well, I guess I can type in the chat.
If you don't mind me adding to your response in terms of like, if you don't have substantial experience, work experience or work history, but you feel that your age will affect your job search. There, we recently had last month, we had a resume writing workshop, and it's part of the same career series. And the presenter gave such good advice on how to phrase your experience, even though it's not work experience, like paid work experience. If you're a parent, how to present that information in such a way that will be valuable to whoever you're trying to, to get their attention. There were like many good tips in terms of like what wording to use and how to focus on your experience, even though it's not, work, paid work. You may have like organization skills and that you have because of other experience.
Excellent.
And I also wanted to add to the volunteer example you gave, like Victoria and I have been seeing, and I don't know if Victoria, you want to add anything in terms of like how many people go through the center and then find jobs. Like Victoria, you have more experience than I there, so feel free to add to that.
I would love to speak to the volunteer opportunity that you should take. If you're working but unhappy, volunteer on the side. It makes you feel good. Your decisions, your ideas are valued. So it does something to your persona. It makes you feel worthy. And so now you're really ready to look for the job of your dreams because you're in a good place and you've added something. Many corporations are now looking for volunteer experience on your resume because it shows that you're a well-rounded, caring person and that you have this added experience that takes you above the other candidates. So do consider volunteering. It has so many benefits. You learn. As a volunteer, I have learned so much more about technology than I would have if I hadn't volunteered. And that's just one example.
And that's like one of those referral opportunities that Regina mentioned before, right? Like you don't realize how many referral opportunities you have, not only as a volunteer, but in the networks that you're part of. It can be spiritual organizations, religious, social, your neighbors, your friends, family members. If you are, again, in that mode, it's a lot easier. And sometimes we have someone right next to us that could help us, but if we don't mention it, right, as Regina said, we'll never have that opportunity. So it has to be us approaching people, but also being gentle. I like that, what you said, Regina, being gentle, not, see where we are in that relationship, in that interaction, and start from the general and go to specifics depending on the situation.
Oh, absolutely. And, you don't want to be selling yourself too much. You want to be coming from a place of curiosity. No one wants, the concept of, looking desperate. Sometimes we need the money to pay our mortgage. We need the money to pay for food. But we also want to be clear and saying, if there's anyone that that has, connections in this industry, because in this department in New York City, maybe it's 100% virtual. And that's what you want to do, because you want to be a caregiver as well. And you don't want to be commuting, because today anything goes. You can be working virtually full time. It's amazing. So I see that the opportunities are there. So you can balance the caregiving with the full-time position. So, but thank you both so much for adding that about the friends and neighbors, because, sometimes it's a blind spot, that somebody, even the dry cleaner, and the person at the grocery store that, you're on a first name basis with them, and they're in your neighborhood, and they might have a connection, maybe your favorite department store, and maybe you want to get into retail and you go there all the time. And you go up to the manager and say, I'm thinking about a career change, and you start talking up the manager at a local store that you frequent. That's why I said about the wish list. These are stores and purveyors and companies and nonprofits that you support yourself. So that's why the hidden job market, a lot of people don't think about it. They only look at where the jobs are being advertised. So I think there's one other question. What do you do? Okay, here's an interesting question. What do you do if people you speak to don't follow up? What do you ask them for? Say they will get back to you, but don't. All right, well, that's right. Some people are not reliable. And, I'm a very tenacious person. My background is in sales. I had to follow up in order to get the sale. As an entrepreneur for 20 years, I had to follow up in order for them to hire me as a trainer, a speaker, a coach. So you can't just follow up one time. You have to follow up over a 30-day period, at least once a week. However, what I would recommend is, instead of following up by phone once a week, 4 times over the next 30 days, you're going to follow up in 4 different ways on 4 different platforms. Maybe you'll leave a message via phone. Maybe you'll send them a LinkedIn message. Maybe you'll text them. Maybe you'll email them. Maybe you'll send them a thank you note by snail mail. That's 5 ways already. So you want to vary the platform in which you communicate. And you might want to even ask, what way would you prefer I follow up with you? Because I have a girlfriend who told me she was having a conversation with somebody on 5 different digital platforms: Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, text message, and email. I was like, wow, 5 different platforms? I said, don't you ask him which platform he prefers? And she says, well, he likes all 5. And it happened to be a friend, not necessarily someone she was pursuing. So, but you want to close the loop. So if they're not responding, what I like to do, let's say they ghosted you even after 4 times. 30 days later, they've ghosted you and you're frustrated. What I like to do is the takeaway close. And this is a sales technique. And the takeaway close is, and I'll give you an example. So here's a diamond, right? Okay. And you're the diamond. You're the person that needs to be hired, right? They don't even know you're the diamond. But you're going to take the diamond away. Okay. So you're going to say, this is my last time. I'm following up. And I really appreciate, the opportunity. But this is the last time. And if you happen to, see this message, I'd really appreciate a referral to blank. So they might not be able to help you. A referral to, again, a vertical market, a specific industry, or maybe there's another opportunity out there, but maybe they can't help you and they're embarrassed to say no. So they ghost you. And it's happened to many, many people. They don't want to say no. I don't want to hire you. I don't want to buy what you have. And they just ignore you. And it's unprofessional, but they're embarrassed and they don't want to tell you no. And I've gotten thousands of no's, okay? So they don't want to get back to you to say no, so then they don't say anything, and then it's a maybe. And no one likes a dangling maybe. So that's what I would do. After 4 contacts, after 30 days on 4 different platforms, you're going to make a final call and say, this is the last time, and then you're going to move on, because there are so many people that want to help you. So you don't want to just focus on one person that keeps ghosting you. You want to go to the backyard diamonds and the low-hanging succulent fruit, right? So that's the numbers game. You have to have a pool of people to ask. And if you don't have a lot of people to ask, you have to start networking and going to seminars and workshops and volunteering and getting on committees. And that's how you start meeting centers of influence. You start meeting movers and shakers and rainmakers, right? So
Thank you so much.
Does anyone have any other questions about that? Because I do understand the frustration.
And especially these days, again, like I do have, we have many experiences with many different people that we interact with. And sometimes we're sending emails, but emails don't work for that person because they have their mailbox super full.
Exactly.
And people come and say, oh, I'm sorry, next time write me a text. And then all of a sudden that person starts being super responsive. So yeah, unfortunately, it is on us, on each individual, to advocate for yourself and to make sure that you are the one following up if other people are not. But I like that. Like there is like a limit. So move on to the next opportunity.
No, absolutely.
Regina, we are super thankful for you being here today. Thank you so much for the extremely valuable information you shared and for also being willing to connect with people who attended this webinar. That's very kind of you, and I encourage everyone to connect with Regina. And she's like a wealth of information and networking and job search. So thank you again.
Thank you. Does anyone have any additional questions?
Yes, please feel free before we end to ask any last questions. Again, like if anyone would like to contact the center, if you'd like to volunteer for us, like if you are in that boat, we're happy to have you. We've written many referrals, so if that works for you and it will help you, it always helps us to have volunteers. This webinar is not to recruit volunteers, but since we're talking about it, we are inviting you to join us. Here are our locations. We are also on social media. If you'd like to become a member, Lana will now put in the chat our link, the link to become a member. And our membership supports all the free programs we offer, such as this one. Coming up again, we have Tax Preparation 101. If you are on our newsletter, on our email list, you'll be receiving information for that. If you haven't filed your taxes, we can help you with that. It's free of charge. We'll be offering that in person in both of our locations on Wednesdays, starting on March 9th. We'll also have our gala coming up. It is an annual fundraiser. It's our biggest fundraiser. We honor women of distinction and a good guy that has helped women to advance their, women's rights and empowerment. Okay, with one last slide. I thank everyone. If anyone have any comments, any questions? So the last minute, Victoria, Regina.
Let's see.
I see. We have another question. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, there was another question about real estate, but I did respond to it and asking the anonymous attendee to, it could be, discussed offline because it's very specific to an industry.
Okay, so to that attendee, feel free to connect with Regina or connect with us, and we'll put you in touch with Regina. Thank you again, everyone, for joining us, and we hope you found this valuable and useful. And next month, we're hoping to have a LinkedIn workshop. That's also obviously very helpful for the job search journey. Thank you, everyone. You're welcome. Have a
Yes,
great
thank you.
afternoon, everyone.
Thank you so much, everyone.